Allez, bonsoir à tous et bienvenue sur Sheo Sport. Un tout petit peu en retard, désolé de ce retard. On est le samedi 19 juin 2021, une édition un peu spéciale ce soir, parce que je reçois quelqu'un qui est un grand entraîneur, quelqu'un qui a donné beaucoup pour le volleyball, quelqu'un qui est connu pour commenter la VNL, quelqu'un qui est connu pour avoir entraîné l'équipe d'Australie, d'avoir entraîné l'équipe de Berlin, d'avoir gagné plusieurs Coupes du Monde, quelqu'un qui est aussi qui donne beaucoup pour le volleyball international, qui est un blog complet sur lequel il explique beaucoup de théories, qui partage beaucoup d'informations. Et puis quelqu'un qui aussi fait beaucoup de recherches avec un de ses amis qui s'appelle Ben au niveau de comment le volleyball peut évoluer. Ce monsieur, c'est Mark Lebedew. Afternoon, Mark. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes. Hi, how you going?
We're good. Could be worse, actually. But thanks for joining us. I was explaining to the people in France that not only you played volleyball, your family of volleyball, we won't be able to go through your biography because it would take us more than 30 minutes. And if you want to, I was explaining to them that you've been the coach of the Australian team, the coach of the Berlin team, you won multiple gold medal with them. But on top of that, you're also very known in the volleyball community for sharing your knowledge. You have a blog, a fantastic blog, and I'm recommending people to access your blog. You got some webinar. You do some research with a friend of ours, Ben, in Untangle, right? A lot of research that you share. So you're a prolific person on Facebook, right? I think with your son or whatever, you're just answering all the questions that people got. And then now you're one of the voice of the VNL, one of the most recognizable voice in the VNL, right? Because when you come and your deep voice comes like, okay, that's Mark. So my first question for you, Mark, is what's next for you? Do you want to be a ref now so you expand your knowledge of volleyball? You want to be an R1?
No, thanks. Thanks for that introduction. It's a great introduction. No, it was just an opportunity that came up through contacts that I made. I've done it before for some VNL finals while I was still coaching, and this was a good opportunity, and also to still be involved with VNL, to still be a part of it. So it's a fun new thing to do, but I don't think I'm going to be a referee.
Good. Not totally overwhelmed with volleyball right now because you've been commentating since the beginning, right? And you got what, 1 or 2 games a day? Is that what you need to do?
We have 1 or 2 games every day, mostly 2.
Yeah.
But, so today I had just 1, so it was an easier day.
Yeah, and it was a quick one. Me living from Canada, I think it was a quick game, which is not really good for us. But anyway, thank you. Let me explain to the people in France. So Marc nous rappelle que il a pris cette opportunité de parler à la VNL parce qu'il avait des contacts. Il adore ça. Il travaille avec les VNL et puis que finalement, depuis le début de la VNL, il commente 1 ou 2 matchs par jour. Ce que je vais faire maintenant avec Marc, c'est qu'on va essayer de parler un peu avec Coach Lebedew, avec Marc. On va parler un peu de la VNL. Je vais lui poser des questions sur comment ça se passe dans la VNL en général, et puis quelques questions sur comment c'est l'organisation, les pros et les cons de l'organisation de la VNL. So Mark, so you've been with the VNL, which is very weird because it's a COVID year, right? So it's a bubble. So you are there, you're commentating every game in that bubble. You're not supposed to go out except to the beach. What is your take on that VNL compared to the other one, where I believe you were commentating from your home or from another place, where here you're there, it's a bubble, you got 8 games a day for 30 days. What are the good things and the not so good things that you notice in that VNL? And I know you were commentating about the video camera and all this kind of stuff, but what is your take about this specific 30 days? Do you think it's a good thing?
It's a necessary thing under the circumstances that we have, especially the travel restrictions. So I've been part of VNL the previous 2 editions, but as a coach. So it was a very demanding tournament in terms of travel. So we had the games, the same number of games, and only 5 extra days. So, but we still played 3 games every week, and so the difference is it's 5 days less. So the travel is the biggest difference. People that I've talked to from teams, players, coaches, they've been pleasantly surprised that how everything has worked out. It hasn't been, the logistics of it has been well organised. The training facilities have been well organised. The games without spectators are difficult, and that's perhaps one of the big differences. And maybe that's what we'll see a little bit in this last weekend with the teams that aren't playing for the semi-finals. If they were at home, for example, it would be maybe a different motivation. So maybe that's the biggest difference that we'll see in this last few games.
Thank you, Yam. So Marc nous explique en fait, c'est la même chose qui s'est passé. Il avait fait les 2 derniers VNL en tant que coach de l'équipe d'Australie et qu'il avait le même nombre de matchs, mais qu'il avait beaucoup plus de voyages avant, donc c'était moins fatigant. Tous les gens avec lesquels il a discuté étaient plutôt surpris de la logistique et de l'organisation qui était plutôt bien faite en Italie. C'est ce qu'on a aussi appris de l'équipe de France. En plus, ils aimaient la bouffe. Ils disent que la seule différence, ça va être le fait qu'il n'y ait pas d'audience, qu'il n'y ait pas de spectateurs et personne. Et donc, ça va changer sans doute ces demi-finales et ces finales, ce Final Four de la VNL. Thank you, Coach. Talking about the VNL, you've been watching every game and every team. The trap question that I got for you is, what are the teams that are underperforming, in your opinion, or the teams that are overperforming? So we can talk about the women's side, we can talk about the men's side, and then we'll talk about, well, of course, they're underperforming because they're B team. So let's put that on the side, the fact that some team got a B team. But what do you think the team that could have done better, that you thought could have done better, or from both for the women's side and the men's side? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer directly because every team has a different approach to the tournament. So you mentioned the teams that don't have any of their star players. So those, Italy, both teams, Serbia women's team. So that's a completely different situation. And everybody has a slightly different goal. So for me, for the women's team, I don't have as much knowledge about the women's team, but I was a little disappointed about the way that Turkey have played. But they're also in their preparation phase, and they're still in the semi-finals, so they're not too bad. Perhaps Russia also haven't been performing as I would have expected in the women's side. On the men's side, the biggest one is USA. USA have some injury problems, but even accounting for the injury problems, they played quite a few games where they didn't seem to, know exactly what they were trying to achieve from the event. Slovenia have done very well, but it's not such a surprise. It's the same team that's been playing for 6 or 7 years together, and they're the runners-up in European Championships. And the other team, I think those are the biggest ones. In the men's team, France have been a little bit up and down, but they've been changing their players. Actually, the other surprise team, positive surprise, is Italy, the Italian men's team. So they have been playing better and better. They've been playing hard. They play to win, and I'm a really big Micheletto fan.
So are we? I wouldn't say fan. We're kind of worried because we know that guy is going to get better for the next couple of years, right? So wouldn't call it fan, but yeah, is something. So before actually translating anything, you know what? Let me rebound on what you said about Italy. Not only they beat France, which is fair because they were a better team, but tell us what you see about that Italy, because the A team is already a very strong team. And what you see in those 17 or 18 or 19 years old kids coming up, I mean, I didn't see that from Poland 17, 18. I mean, Italy won, I think, the European Championship at 19. So tell us more about that Italy team, how you see them, how you see their behavior, because you saw them when you were commentating.
I don't think, firstly, I don't think that the Italian A team is really very good. So they're a decent team, but if you take out One Terena and Zaitsev, or even just One Terena, it's not a team that's going to play for the medals, I don't think. So these guys are really interesting guys, and they're playing in A1. They're playing without fear. They're obviously playing at a good level, but they don't have some of the negative parts of the mentality that some Italian young players have. And Micheletto is a perfect example. He's a player. He doesn't carry himself anyway other than, I just want to win this rally and the next rally and the one after, without any of the, I don't want to say it directly.
I hear you. I hear you. I know what you said. So let me translate that. So le coach Lebedew, on parlait de la VNL et on parlait des équipes qui avaient plutôt performé, celles qui n'avaient pas trop performé. Il nous expliquait qu'en fait, la Turquie et la Russie étaient les deux équipes du côté féminin qui n'avaient pas trop performé. Mais après, on va en parler. C'est vrai que ce ne sont pas des équipes qui vont tourner, qui se préparent pour les Jeux olympiques. Donc, ça va être le prochain thème, c'est comprendre avec lui si c'est vraiment la bonne solution ou pas. Et puis, du côté des hommes, il est impressionné par la Slovénie, il est impressionné par l'Italie. Il trouve que les États-Unis ne performent pas autant qu'ils pourraient. Bon, ils ont des blessés. Donc, on va voir ce qu'ils vont faire dans les jours qui viennent. Et puis, on a rebondi après sur l'Italie, sur cette équipe de jeunes. C'est vrai qu'il disait que l'Italie, l'équipe A, sans Guantanamo et Zaitsev, n'est peut-être pas aussi bonne qu'on pourrait le croire. Et que tous ces jeunes qui sont là, on parlait de Micheletto, sont des jeunes qui jouent dans l'équipe A, donc la première ligue en Italie, et qui ne se posent pas de questions, qui jouent à fond la caisse et qui sont contents de jouer. Et c'est pour ça qu'il est assez impressionné par l'équipe d'Italie. Je vais maintenant poser une question à coach Lebedew à propos des différentes équipes qui viennent. Vous savez que l'Italie a amené son équipe B, que la Chine a ramené des joueuses en milieu de tournoi, alors que d'autres équipes comme la France ou la Serbie ou les États-Unis font tourner et ont amené leur 6 majeur. Et je voulais apprendre au niveau du coaching, ce qu'il en pensait. So coach Lebedew, I'm going to ask you now about exactly what you were talking about and the fact that we know that some teams brought the young one. They didn't bring the A team, right? We're talking about Italy. We're talking about China that actually brought the 6 in the middle of the VNL, and some team just brought the Serbia, the team. And there was some discussion among some of the volleyball fan, that says, what is the best? So I'm going to pick your brain, your coach brain or brain coach. What do you think the best is? Do you actually rest and train on the side and don't show your strength? Do you try to exhaust, because it seems like the French team and some of the other team exhausting their player to try to get them ready for the Olympic Games? What is your feeling as a coach? What do you think is a good approach that you would have taken?
If it was me, I would have brought the best team here, and I would have used that time together to prepare in various different ways. So perhaps not exactly as the Polish team have done, but something like that. So yep. there are ways to manage the load. There are ways to organise the lineups from game to game. I don't think that the French, for example, are exhausting their players. I think it seems like they're doing a reasonable job of it. The same with Brazil. I'm not a big fan of a lot of training time. The going into a training camp and training for 1 month, there's a better opportunity to work on physical conditioning, perhaps. But the playing, the competition, the testing things out part for me is more important. And the second part of it about showing to opponents, I don't even think about that. I don't think nobody is doing their maximum, because they're holding something back, some lineup, something. So for that, I don't think that's any component at all.
I like that. That's a good insight. So Coach Lebedew nous explique que s'il avait été entraîneur, il aurait amené sa meilleure équipe. Il aurait amené son 6 et puis il aurait géré, si vous voulez, les gens qui s'entraînent, un peu comme le fait la Pologne ou comme le fait la France, pour pouvoir changer les line-up et changer les joueurs pour pas trop les fatiguer. Il ne pense pas que l'équipe de France est trop fatiguée. Il pense qu'ils ont généralement bien assez géré leur line-up et les gens qui jouaient. Mais en fait, c'est pas un grand fan de l'entraînement pour l'entraînement. Hein. C'est ce que nous expliquait Giovanni Guidetti aussi, c'est que les gens ont des points de volleyball en jouant dans un match de volleyball, un vrai match de volleyball à un haut niveau qu'on n'acquiert jamais au niveau de l'entraînement. Il dit qu'effectivement, si on les met de côté, on peut travailler sur le physique, mais on n'arrivera jamais à avoir ces points de volleyball. Et puis, du côté stats et du côté est-ce qu'on cache les choses, il dit que de toute façon, nos équipes ne jouent pas à 100%, ils ne vont pas tout montrer maintenant. Il y a des choses qu'ils vont pas faire et que en fait, c'est le but du jeu de s'entraîner. Je vais essayer de l'amener maintenant, d'amener le coach Lebedew sur l'équipe de France, voir un peu ce qu'il en pense pour qu'il nous explique ce qu'il a vu. So thank you, coach. Love your idea of what Coach Guidetti was talking about volleyball point, right? The more you play volleyball, the more volleyball point you got versus training. And I think Cesar, his assistant coach, was doing the same thing. But let me direct you now a little bit about what the people listening to us are probably interested about, which is the French team. You saw them play, you know them, you played against them multiple times. What is your analysis, without going into detail or whatever, but what is your analysis of the strength right now of the French team and the things that maybe they should work on now that you saw them play? You said they were going up and down.
That's a really good question. It's really hard to know what they have planned for the Olympics. They've changed the lineup from game to game, and they also seem like, and I may not be right, but it seems like they have fixed patterns of substitution. So that the guys who start will play 3 sets, and then some guys will come in regardless of what the score is. Then guys will come in for the second part of the match, and that's the way that they have organised their training load. So the Polish team, for example, have done the opposite. So they said, okay, you 6 will play today, and you play the whole match, and then the new 6 will play on tomorrow. So that way of managing the team is the way that they've gone. I think it's really difficult, and I actually couldn't predict how they will line up at the first game of the Olympics. So I have an idea what I think the best lineup is, but I have no idea if that's the lineup they will go with. They could play with almost any combination of players they have, and from top to bottom, maybe only the Brazilian team has the same kind of depth.
Thank you. Le coach nous explique qu'en fait, l'équipe de France, il ne peut pas être dans les petits papiers de Laurenti, donc il ne sait pas exactement quel est le plan pour les Jeux Olympiques, mais ce qu'il a remarqué, et ce que nous a remarqué aussi, c'est qu'il a l'impression qu'il y a des changements qui sont faits au milieu des matchs sans se soucier du code, des points, de savoir si on gagne ou pas. On change les joueurs, même si on avance, même si on est en retard, on ne regarde pas le score. Alors que la Pologne fait un peu différemment, elle joue 6 joueurs tout le match et puis les 6 autres jouent le match d'après. Donc, il dit que ça dépend de l'entraîneur, ça dépend du choix de l'entraîneur. Il ne sait pas exactement quel va être le 6 de départ pour les Jeux Olympiques. Il dit que c'est assez intéressant parce que l'équipe de France, on pourrait jouer n'importe qui. On a un 6 de départ assez profond, tout comme l'équipe du Brésil, qui aussi a son équipe dans laquelle il dit il pourrait jouer un 6 de départ. Je vais essayer de lui demander maintenant ce qu'il en pense au niveau masculin pour savoir quels sont ses choix pour les Jeux Olympiques. So my trap question now, coach, is you saw the men team. Well, none of them, right? Because some are there. What is your pick for the top 3 or 4 in the Olympic game? Not the VNL, but the Olympic game. And we'll have a bet.
We'll have a bet. All right, let's go. The top 3 teams for the Olympics, my pick is Brazil, Poland, France. I think that Russia can be very close to that. And US and Italy, I think are a little bit below those 3 or 4 teams. There are 3 teams for sure.
Got it. I just got a question for somebody, so I'll piggyback on this one there. They also wanted to know your ranking on the player in the French team, the one that you said you're really impressed by. I know it's a French show, right?
Oh, no, it's okay.
So you got some player on the French team that you said are really impressed, either on the setter or late, whatever.
I think for me, all the players are really similar levels. So I have a lot of experience playing against Tonyuti. I played against him, I don't know how many times, 15, 18 times. I've won 1 time against him. So for me, he's just a player that I really like. I think that Kevin Tilley I don't remember that I've ever seen him in such good shape physically. He looks in really good shape, and he's also one of my favorite guys. So those 2 always, I always like those. Irvin is Irvin, and then the 2 opposites, that will be really interesting situation. I don't even know how I would pick between the 2 of them.
It's interesting. And you did a lot of study on Ben with Ben Raymond, right, on Tonyuti. I remember this whole analysis that you did on Tango, right?
I've done all the study on Ben. I've done a lot on Antoine Brizard also. So the video, but like I said, we beat Ben once.
Yep. OK. Donc, Coach Lebedew nous a dit que ce qu'il voit pour les Jeux olympiques serait plutôt Brésil, Pologne, France, avec la Russie peut-être en 4e, et puis les États-Unis et l'Italie après. Et au niveau des joueurs, c'est vrai qu'il a joué beaucoup contre Tonyuti, contre Benjamin, donc il a fait beaucoup d'analyses. On peut aller voir sur Untangle, un des sites qu'il maintient. Il a fait une analyse exceptionnelle sur lui et aussi sur Brizard. Il trouve que Tonyuti est un joueur très très bon. Et puis les autres joueurs qu'il connaissent, qui lui ont beaucoup impressionné, c'est Kevin Tilly qui est en forme. Erwin et Terwin. Et puis les 2 pointus, il disait il n'aimerait pas être dans les chaussures de Laurent parce que ça va être difficile de choisir entre Patry et Boyer. Alors je vais essayer de poser maintenant la question de Gilbert à propos de la BNL. So Mark, I'm going to just translate or just say as is the question that I just received what somebody said. Hi Mark, it seems that this VNL, the management of playing time of each player is more important than ever. What is your view on this? Quote.
Every team has always done it a little bit differently. So Brazil, for example, I think they are playing their best player, their starting 6, more than the other teams. But that's also the way that they tend to prepare. So I think the fact that it's so close to the Olympics makes some difference. So for France, for sure, for Poland, definitely, because Poland are also trying to choose the team. So they still won't choose the team for 1 more week. So that's a big part of it. For the US, it's been, they've changed a lot because of injuries. Sander was injured. Anderson didn't play for more than a year. So they've been trying to manage that more than the training load, the game load. So the no travel makes a difference. So I don't think it's a really big difference from one season to the next. The load is always important to manage.
D'accord. La question qui a été posée, c'est une question sur la charge de travail. Et quelqu'un demandait si c'était plus important cette année que les années d'avant. Ce que le coach Lebedew nous explique, c'est que c'est intéressant que le Brésil semble jouer son 6 majeur tout le temps, et plus que les autres équipes. Le fait qu'on soit proche des Jeux olympiques change un peu la donne au niveau de la surcharge, mais par exemple, la Pologne essaye toujours de chercher son équipe. Les États-Unis, il y a eu beaucoup de blessés, donc ils essayent de faire ramener les gens à un niveau intéressant à jouer. Il disait qu'en fait, le fait qu'il n'y ait pas de voyage est important pour la surcharge. C'est ça la différence, c'est qu'on n'est pas aussi fatigué. So, Coach Lebedew, thank you. Yep, go ahead.
There is one difference though that I just thought about as you were talking, and that is because everybody is together for the whole time. So in a normal VNL, it can be, and it often is, that the players maybe will play 2, 3 or 4 weekends, and then they will go home in between and they will have some break. So when they are with the team, they play more and then they have 1 week free. So here the load is managed in a different way because everybody's here for the whole time, and so it's different in that way.
Exact. Donc, le coach nous explique en fait la différence ici, c'est que les VNL précédentes, les joueurs pouvaient jouer 1 ou 2 week-ends et rentrer chez eux se reposer, alors que là, ils sont tout le temps avec l'équipe pour un mois complet. Donc, c'est sans doute ça qui va changer un peu la donne au niveau de la surcharge. Je vais essayer de finir, Shafik, je vais te lancer dans quelques minutes pour les questions et on ne va pas avoir beaucoup de temps, mais je vais essayer de finir sur une question sur le futur du coach Lebedew et de comment il va partir en Allemagne pour s'occuper de l'équipe de Friedrichshafen. Et on va voir un peu son point de vue de ce côté-là. You heard my Friedrichshafen in my French accent, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to ask you. So you're moving back to Germany. Yeah. You're moving back to the enemy, right? Because you coach Berlin, I know. But you're moving back south, closer to Switzerland. You're moving to Friedrichshafen. Probably very excited. What is your plan there this summer? Are you going to follow the volleyball? Are you moving to Friedrichshafen right away? You already talked to some of the players from the German team.
I've had a little contact with some of the players. We still have a couple of players to sign. We'll start the preparation early in August not for everybody, because there'll be plenty of players still with the national team. So I will go there sometime around there, the end of July, beginning of August, and prepare for a big season.
Yeah, because we, the French people, we're going to support Cédric, right? But we'll also support you. And that was a fantastic fight. I don't know if you followed that last year. So we expect the same caliber next year between those two teams, right?
It will be a high caliber competition, that's for sure.
I see that. Donc, coach Lebedew nous explique qu'en fait, il va rejoindre l'équipe sans doute fin juillet, début août, qu'il a encore des choses à signer, qu'il ne va pas avoir tous les joueurs parce qu'il y en a qui vont jouer pour l'équipe d'Europe, pour le championnat d'Europe, et qu'il s'apprête et qu'il nous prévient que la finale de l'année prochaine entre Berlin et Friedrichshafen, si c'est la finale entre Berlin et Friedrichshafen, sera d'un calibre énorme. Donc, on attend ça avec impatience. Coach, thank you very, very much. I think Shafik is always asking the question at the last minute. So you have to hear that. I'm always telling him we're done. And he's like, so he's got one question.
Right.
Rezende as a coach for a French team, your point of view, or you like wait and see?
His coaching CV is unmatched. You can't say anything about that. He is a great coach in different situations, male, female. It will be different because the Brazilian way is different from the French way. But he's a great coach, and France have a lot of great players, more than ever. I think this is a really strong period for the French national team. When for example, to have Rossard not on the Olympic roster, this is the level of players, and the Tonyuti Engapet generation are still have one more Olympics for sure in them. So it will be really interesting for everyone in the volleyball world to watch how the next years develop.
Yeah, so ce que le coach Lebedew nous explique, c'est que c'est un entraîneur très important dans le monde du volleyball. C'est un très bon entraîneur. Ça va changer l'entraînement, parce que l'entraînement brésilien est très différent de l'entraînement français, mais qui n'a pas de problème. Il sait que ça va performer. Il se dit, pour qu'une équipe enlève du roster olympique à un joueur comme Rossard, c'est que finalement il y a des gens derrière qui peuvent jouer au volleyball. Il y a de très 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 bons joueurs, et il dit que les gens comme Tonyuti et Erwin Engapet vont encore jouer pendant les Jeux olympiques de 2024, et que ça va être très très intéressant. I would like to thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure. I would love to spend like month and month listening to you and everything. I'm going to recommend after to the people to go to your blog, and maybe if they want to translate some of your blog, because I know they were translating in Polish and Italian, so maybe some people can contact you to translate your blog into French. Are we going to hear you for the Olympic game? Are you going to comment, or are you just going to back to Friedrichshafen?
I'm not involved with the Olympics. This is not a career. It's a one-off for the moment, but maybe it can be an interesting summer job. Maybe I can work in the future with a national team also. So for now, I'm enjoying this time. I will watch the Olympics on TV and prepare for a great season in Friedrichshafen.
Fantastic. Good luck. Thank you so much. We'll still listen to you for the next couple of weeks with your nice voice commentating the next and the final four, I believe. We'll get in touch for sure, because I need to talk to Ben, Raymond, and all this kind of stuff, and we'll listen to you and we'll probably ask you questions. So thank you for what you've done for the volleyball community. It's unbelievable the impact that you're having. Thank you for spending the time with us, and hope to talk to you soon.
Anytime you would like, you know how to contact me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to translate. You can leave if you want, but I'm going to translate in French, and we're going to close. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Au revoir.
Mark.
Au revoir.
So, Mark nous expliquait que il ne présentera pas les Jeux olympiques puisqu'il n'a pas eu le contrat. Qu'il aimerait bien, pourquoi faire, mais qu'il préférait y aller avec une équipe nationale plutôt que de commenter. Ce que je comprends. Et puis, je l'ai remercié pour tout ce qu'il a fait. Il fait un blog que je conseille aux gens d'aller voir. Un blog qui est traduit en italien et en polonais, donc tout son blog. Donc peut-être qu'il aura besoin de gens qui puissent traduire en français. Il a des webinaires, c'est quelqu'un qui est très très important, donc je lui remercie d'être aussi très important pour la communauté volleyballistique mondiale. Voilà, Shafik, c'était le coach Mark Lebedew qui nous a parlé de la VNL.
Parfait.